will be confused because KwaZulu-Natal legislature has scaled down. We are all working back in parties. Sincere apologies. I am trying to look around, thinking that I'll see members. I don't know whether it's me, but I'm only seeing 2 members, and this House did not delegate 2 members to the Ncop. Where is the rest of your delegation, Honorable Pipi?
No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Apparently, there's apology to Babhadebe, a IFP member, and also Ubrato Setu team, and Honorable Eunice. He just WhatsApped me now that is going to be 15 minutes late. And also apology from Usli from the EFF. I think myself and Mteto are here. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Thanks, ma'am.
I am raising that in my welcome because we want to welcome you, and we usually see you when it's the State of the Province address, and it shouldn't be that way. But nonetheless, greetings to the Deputy Speaker, the Chief Whip, the honorable members of the Legislature of KwaZulu-Natal. I see the MEC for Human Settlements and Public Works at the back there, Honorable Keifas Nkosi, the heads of departments that are with us, and the Legislature Secretary, together with all personnel from all government departments, the Parliament and the Legislature of KwaZulu-Natal. Chairperson of committees, in our welcoming the members of the Ncop that we have delegated to the Ncop as the legislature, we want to remind ourselves that today they are here on the provincial week, but it's a program that should ordinarily be preceded by members of the Ncop that are permanent delegates being part of the work of this House, especially because they are the ones that are supposed to be raising our matters in the National Council of Province, to highlight our matters. Of course, you can also highlight the matters of your parties, but importantly, the resolutions and decisions of the House in matters that need to be highlighted at a national level. This is not a platform where we are accounting as a province, in essence. This is a platform where we should also be receiving feedback, and we look forward that we may be receiving feedback from the national on issues that relate to the infrastructure. We may be receiving feedback from the national we have on issues that relate. Others always focus on the 2022 disaster, but we know that disasters in this province started as far back as 2012, when we had the disasters that affected the areas of Utukela district, the issues of water shortage in the province. Some were addressed, of course, extensively by the Ncop in their visit when they went to taking the National Council of Province to the people of KwaZulu-Natal that was held in Ray Konyeni in the Ugu district last year, where departments made commitments, and sometimes we might be getting the update here today, Honorable Pipi, but also matters of us and mandates that we usually negotiate and send to the Ncop when there is bill or lawmaking process that we do through the public participation. And there's been something that has been happening. It dates as far back as the interboundary demarcations happened in the Republic of South Africa, whether you move back to the Matatial-Khutsong era, when we had these public participation programs taken to court, and you look at the program of the Ncop and the program of the legislature and how compressed they become, sometimes making it difficult. Over the years, we have been having those matters being a problem to us, but most recently, I believe the HOD, I see the HOD of Cocta sitting there with the other two HODs. The most recent is the one where the court found that the traditional leadership and Khoisan and Traditional Leadership Act is unconstitutional. And it spoke to the issues of public participation. And when you zoom clearly, you also see that it's because of the time that we allocate as the House and together with the Ncop to public participation. These are some of the areas that need us to have more time.
So at first you have to open the settings, then find and select Siri and search, and now just click on listen to Hey Siri. And now you have to customize your Siri feature, just click on enable Siri. And now set it up. Click on continue at first and then provide all the orders. Hey Siri.
Without in any way affecting
Hey Siri,
the service
send a
that is
message.
expected to the people of South Africa, which is
Hey Siri,
lawmaking,
how's the weather
oversight,
today?
and public participation. We were also
Hey Siri, set a timer for 3 minutes.
You anticipate that
Hey Siri, play some music.
will assist to fast track some of the
So as you can see, it is ready. Now tap on done, and you can customize it. So you can pick the language. Obviously, you can choose a Siri voice. So here and here you've got options. Pick the one that you like the most.
Water scheme.
Let me just volume it up so you can hear it clearly.
In this province, which is Herigwala,
I'm Siri.
the metro.
Hi, I'm Siri.
Hi,
I'm Siri.
I am from Oku, Honorable Mtetwa, but because I'm from this province. The issues of water that currently besiege the province in the north, whether you're speaking of Umkanyagude district, the Utukela district, but importantly the Umzinyati district, where we have seen that wherever is intervention is there, whether it's the section 139, 1B that is there, but still the issues of water provisioning in that district are not getting any better. So we were hoping that as we are with you and welcoming you, we are anticipating that we'll be able to deal with some of these matters. But importantly, we must say that we are mindful of the economic conditions and the economic climate that have visited our country. And we are not going to be speaking as if we are people that are in a toy shop with expectations that are not cognizant of the environment we are in. But we are expecting that some of those things that must be resolved at the national level will be resolved. Lastly, as I sit down and welcoming Honorable Karim, at least there are three. Now, I want to sit and say this House has been speaking on the issue of the top slicing of the budgets of parliaments and provincial legislatures so that we do not continue to be thrown in the same pot as Abo Tubane, Nabo Majola, Nabo Zungu, so that people will tell us that, hey, but we need boreholes. The money that we are sending to oversight should go and build low-cost houses. The money should go and build, revive infrastructure. We are hoping that at some point in time, the issue of the top slicing of the budget will be speaking to, so that we also are able to effectively ensure that the gendered side of the budget in the Republic of South Africa is attended to. When you are providing houses, it's not in a blank note, it's cognizant of the intersectionality needs of the gender in the society. So in that, we welcome you. We hope that we are going to have a great 4 days with you. It's unfortunate that in the midst of that, you came during the time that we have a bereavement, that some of the leadership of the legislature will be in and out of the program. And I think we must say it. And we must be cognizant that the IFP might be in and out of the program, not because they undermine the program, but they have reported to us. You understand, the Honorable Buthelezi was an institution to the IFP, the founder of the party. So the stature that is afforded in South Africa, you can imagine what stature he's afforded in his own party that he founded. So the IFP caucus would be understood when they are absent in most of the programs. But nonetheless, siyavuya bethunana nibuyele ekhaya khumbule ekhaya masithembe ukuthi ukufika kwenu kusizela nempendulo emibuzweni eniyithunyiwe singagqibeli ke ukunibona ngeprovincial week sicela ukuzohlala nani ezindlini uMargaret uyanithumelela iprogram I know you know the program of the house so you must be coming to the house. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Actually, we have even outlined the aims and the objectives of these meetings. You also get into detail, reminding us about the issues of the mandate of the Ncop delegates and our role and our functions. You also touched to many issues that affect the issues of governance and also the community participation and the programs of the house and the intervention and our roles into it as well. We thank you for that. You have already given us something that is going to also assist us in doing our work over the next 3 days. And you also get into issues of some of the members that are not here that might be issues or what are affecting them not to be part of this house. We thank you for also alluding to those issues. Honorable members, without waste of time again, thanks again, Speaker. I want to ask for the apology. I think this item in future must come first after, especially this input is an input that should have allowed us to engage on some of the issues and going forward. But we are going back to the apology. In front of me, members have got the apology of the Premier, as the Speaker has already said that is attending is attending the funeral or is at Ulundi for now, attending ukshona kwababa Nkosi uMangosuthu Buthelezi, and the MEC for Kokta I've also received the apology yake, and MEC Ustole Mloyi, they won't be here. Then the rest members, those are the only apology I have. I wonder if there are any other apology. No, Comrade Makosazana, Zungu, we also receive her apology. So any other apology members that might not have come to our office this side? I've seen a hands there in the corner, Honorable Nkos.
Is it me? Oh.
If you can, you are welcome. Thank you very much. MEC Nkosi. Let's note all the apology that we have received so that we can move forward with our program. In terms of our program, we needed to adopt this agenda of today as a working agenda from now until Friday. I hope the agenda is adopted. Agreed? Yes. Then I will move also with speed. Now that the agenda has been adopted, I want to request the Chief Whip here to introductory remark in introducing of the members of the NCOP delegate. Honorable James, next to me, he will introduce the NCOP members in the House. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the session, Honorable Nyambose. Greetings to our Honorable Speaker, Mahubela, and our Deputy Speaker, Baba Mvelase. Let me also acknowledge the presence of our MEC for Human Settlements and Public Works, Honorable Kosi Langamandla. Also acknowledge the presence of the Chairperson of the Committee, Honorable Mabumbela.
Here's another special feature.
Whip,
we have two different
Honorable
caps for the
Kaluza,
external filter.
our Deputy
Why these
Chairperson of
two?
Committees,
I'll show you in a moment when I...
Honorable Zulu Makeba, and all other members present. Let me also acknowledge the presence of the members from the NCOP, honorable members that I'm going to be introducing right now, and all officials coming from national government who are here, senior officials, and also senior officials from the provincial government. My task is a very simple one because we have been warmly welcomed by our Honorable Speaker, Honorable Nontembeko Boyce. Suffice to say that we have done our best, Honorable Chairperson Nyambose from our side, to ensure that
here's 8 Newton meters.
All preparations goes well.
So,
hence, we have been in consultation with your office all the
Titan
in preparations for this NCOP week. And I'm hoping that beside the glitches that have been mentioned, because
I can now put the filling plug also.
And also the demise of a former member of this legislature, Ubaba Important Mkhize. We hope that the program will be going smooth right up until the end of this week. Having said that, let me then do my task to introduce all members who are here today. First, let me start with our chairperson of this session, Honorable Inoki Mthethwa Nyambose, who's chairing this session. And also let me acknowledge the presence of Honorable Lindiwe Bibi Siswami, who is the provincial whip of the NCOP. Siyabonga kakhulu Mkhatshwa. I must also indicate that you have been joined by one of our senior members from National Assembly and from the NCOP, and also who is our stalwart of our struggle today, the living, one of our living comrades, stalwart comrade Eunice Karim. Siyabonga kakhulu. Also, among the members who are here from the provincial legislature, as I've said, honorable members, that in our midst we have our honorable speaker, Honorable Nontembeko Boyce, our deputy speaker, Honorable Mthembu Velaso Mkhulu, our chairpersons of committees, Honorable Hlengiwe Mavimbela Mageba, our Deputy Chair of Committees, Honorable Zulu Mageba, the Deputy Chief Whip, Honorable Vuyiswa Kaluza Mngoni. We also have one of our whip, Honorable Zandile Kumete Mngoni Kamajola. We also have in our midst Honorable osanda kuba nathi nje kodwa futhi sebuya okwesibili Honorable Dlungwane. Honorable Dlungwane is one of those who have been serving in this provincial legislature for a long time, but he has recently come back. Now is the chairperson of Human Settlement. Dlungwane Mkhulu, Chairman. We have Honorable Bishop Dube Zwagele. We have Honorable Phumzile Mbatha-Cele. We have Honorable Mchali. We have Honorable Ngubane. We have Honorable Shinga. We have Honorable Sobusile Dlamini, Madlamini. Subalkhulu. I've mentioned Honorable MEC Nkosi Dlangamandla. We have Honorable Mutli. And then I think next to Honorable Mutli is Honorable Thembiso Mshengu Shabalala. And the last but not least, we have Honorable Cele Ndosi, Honorable Zinhle Cele. I think those are the honorable members who are here from the provincial legislature. And Chairperson, we also do have the Secretary of the Legislature, Naidu, Ms. Naidu. Let me also acknowledge the presence once again of our senior officials from national government and also senior officials from the provincial legislature. Ukhona Babu Memela Netimbalake Omgabateli. And also acknowledge the HODs who are here present from a number of various departments. I can see HOD Majola, HOD Zungu, HOD Tubani, HOD, those are the HODs that are present. And then senior management from various departments, from COGTA, from Human Settlements, Public Works, and also a number of departments. I think suffice to say protocol is observed. Those are the officials who are here present, including honorable members.
Thank you very much, Mkachwa. Members, we are now going to zoom straight to get the aims and the objectives of this week. And Umam Bib will tell us why are we here and what is going to happen from today until Friday. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, the Program Director. Greetings to the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, Chair of Chairs that are here, and Head Deputy, and also Chief Whip and your Deputy. Then I will say all protocol observed because I'll end up leaving some. So today's aim and objectives, although the Speaker has touched in most of them, but I'm just going to add that because some of us here really don't know the role of the Ncop, of which they should know, so that when we interact with them, they must know that, this house is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ncop was established to represent the interests of the provinces and provide a national forum for public consideration on issues affecting particularly provinces and local government. And also the Ncop Provincial Week program provides an opportunity for permanent delegates to return to their respective provinces in order to interact with the leadership of the provincial legislature and also representatives of the different spheres of government, with the aim of obtaining new mandates on issues to be placed on the national agenda. I've heard Honorable Speaker saying that the office of the Ncop in the province does send us schedules of what is happening in the legislature. Unfortunately, with the invitation, they always clutch in mostly with the bills that we as provincial leaders should be part of it on behalf of the provinces. And also, this Ncop also uses this program to assess progress that provinces and municipalities are making and delivering quality services to the people. This is also an opportunity to joint and coordinate oversight, which is central to the pursuit of cooperative governance. We are going to conduct this program jointly with legislature under the theme, Building Viable Provincial and Municipal Infrastructure and Effective Delivery of Services to Communities. This theme is also anchored on the outcomes of the recent 3 Spheres Planning Sessions program, which was convened by the Ncop on the 9th of June 2023. Therefore, these are ongoing engagements to follow up on critical issues. And again, the 2023 Provincial Week is a week-long high-impact oversight program aimed at assessing progress in the building of sustainable human settlements to improve the quality of life for the poor and building viable water and sanitation infrastructure for effective delivery of services to our communities. And the actual objective of this Provincial Week session is coming days into is to enable the delegation to receive inputs, comments, as well as briefings on the state of capacity of government, as well as initiatives and support provided to municipalities, including information on challenges faced by municipalities and other relevant agencies and stakeholders in the process of the building a viable provincial and municipal infrastructure for effective delivery of services to our communities. The intention is to conduct oversight to ensure that policies, directives, commitments, and executive undertakings made are monitored and implemented. In the final analysis, we must be able to observe the extent to which state institutions contribute to changing the lives of our communities. And we must observe whether there's a positive developmental impact on communities. Let me emphasize that this exercise is not about finger pointing, fault findings, and therefore also to blame one another, but rather how best cooperation is strengthened amongst the 3 spheres of government in order to provide quality services in our people of KZN. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I thank you.
Thanks, Ma'am Pip. Honorable Pip, at least now we know why we are here and the themes of the Provincial Week. We have properly explained it to us. We have made our job very much easier going forward. Honorable members, we're now going to get a briefing from the Office of the Premier. We are told that DG Majola will give HOD Majola. Yeah, he's getting there. He's getting there. So he's going to give us the presentation, the briefing on behalf of the Premier today. Over to you, HOD. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Greeting to the Honorable Chairperson. Greeting to the Ncop honorable members, the Speaker of the Legislature, Deputy Speaker, and all honorable members from the Legislature of KwaZulu-Natal. All protocol observe. Chair, I will take you through the infrastructure and catalytic project overview that will talk to the provincial infrastructure, including some of the municipal infrastructure development in the province. The content of the presentation will talk about the background, the economic and social expenditure analysis of the infrastructure, progress on infrastructure and catalytic projects. That will also talk to the program structure, PGDP alignment, program pipeline, program development, completed project from 2019 to date, required intervention, Lekgotla resolution, risk and mitigation strategies. Then in terms of the annexures for more details on specific projects, is also attached the catalytic list projects that are implemented by the government and also the SOEs, the private sector, the SIP project and the floods project. Those are annexed to the presentation. In alignment with the National Development Plan, KwaZulu-Natal has a provincial growth and development plan to drive the economic growth and transformation needed to address the triple threat of poverty, unemployment, and inequality within the province. The infrastructure development was identified as a critical enabler of the PGDP and hence found resonance in the PGDP in the form of what is now termed as catalytic projects. Safe to say that the Department of Public Works is the coordinating department when it comes to infrastructure in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And indeed, the province does have the infrastructure master plan, which is managed in conjunction with the Provincial Infrastructure Coordination Working Group and Provincial Planning Commission through the implementation of the PGDP strategic objectives and the Presidential Infrastructure Commission strategic integrated projects, which we call them as SIPs. The infrastructure master plan components comprises of the integrated infrastructure coordination, catalytic project, integrated infrastructure information portal, which we refer to as infrastructure NEFs, the land and asset utilization, green building strategy, oceans economy. The sectors which are being covered in the provincial master plan is the transport, alternative energy, water and sanitation, education, health and human settlement facilities, ICT, agriculture infrastructure, enabling infrastructure, the mining industry, tourism, other land utilization and green building and oceans economy. The integrated infrastructure coordination, that's where we talk about the alignment of sector strategic plan, the MTSF, catalytic project with the PGTS, stakeholder engagement, catalytic projects. Those are the ones that are driving and improve the economic growth and transformation needed to address the triple challenges that we are currently facing. The land and asset utilization, it's where we want to ensure we implement the plan to maximize utilization and commercialization of provincial property portfolio, lands and building with a focus of transforming the property land sector and opportunities for incubation of land and property SMMEs. The green building strategy, implementing the green building strategy for provincial owned facilities and other facilities utilized to reduce impact on climate change, and also responding in terms of the energy savings that we are currently facing as a challenge, taking into account the issue of the load shedding. The ocean's economy, facilitation of implementation of developments that have commenced to improve the economic growth and socio-economic improvement. If we look at the growth in the infrastructure investment, one can easily say that when you compare the issue of the infrastructure growth vis-a-vis the unemployment rate, especially in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, you can see that the unemployment rate is increasing on a daily basis in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
HOD, I wonder if official may assist us by flagging, especially in the screen, the presentation so that people can easily follow it, because there is a document. If we can be assisted, officials.
Today at shoptap.com, we're going to be talking about DSG service.
If not, we may continue, but we will appreciate if it can be flagged on the screen as well, so that it be easy to be followed. Okay, you can continue, HOD, while they are sorting out that.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Chair, I think it's unfortunate that is not presented, but there's a slide which just shows an indication that when you zoom in terms of the infrastructure development vis-a-vis the unemployment rate, they are decreasing on a daily basis. The unemployment rate is increasing drastically if you look at 2021 and 2020 as a result of COVID-19, but also in terms of the infrastructure tried to pick up during the 2021, but for some reason, because of the fiscal challenges, we are now starting to see the decrease in terms of the infrastructure delivery in the province. Going to the performance of micro variables, let's talk to the infrastructure, also zooming into the unemployment rate while we are developing or delivering the infrastructure. In the province of KwaZulu-Natal, if you look at the stats as of 2022, we can safely say that the unemployment rate was sitting at 32.7%, which is below the national rate of 33.9%, excluding discouraged work seekers. The level of unemployment 21-22 has been highest jobless rate since the start of 2008. Job losses for KZN during 2020 amounted to 210,000 jobs that have been lost. For SAA, which is at the country, losses were 1.3 million. So you can easily see that, Chairperson, that the electricity industry is also having a huge decrease, and also the construction sector, there's a huge decrease in terms of the infrastructure delivery. As a result, the unemployment rate is increasing on a daily basis. The construction sector indicators, I think that's where we are having a serious challenge in the province, because here we've got a challenge of the low business confidence as a result of the low private sector credit growth, declining business investment spending, external shocks related to COVID-19, social unrest, and flood as an addition, especially in this province. Hence, we'll continue to have these challenges because there's also low confidence in terms of business related to infrastructure delivery or development in the province. If you zoom in into the regional investment, which also talk about the Republic of South Africa as a whole, you could see that as back as 2020, from 2015 to 2020, the province of KwaZulu-Natal was doing very well in terms of the infrastructure development following the Gauteng. But of late, that has changed drastically because of the challenges that has been mentioned above. The economic reconstruction and recovery plan, the infrastructure that meets the goals of the NDP. We also look into KwaZulu-Natal as a province, but also comparing with other provinces.
Let's get the car up in the air and get started on draining the oil.
Especially when it's come to
good people,
the issue
we are
of
underneath the vehicle
tar
now.
road.
If you've seen some of our other videos on this car, you'll know.
KwaZulu-Natal is the lowest state in terms of the tar road. We don't have so much tar road in terms of 2 kilometers road. You'll find that because mainly because of the province, the vastness and the geographical areas of the province to say most of our municipalities or communities, they're still using the gravel road. Some that also even not have enough gravel road to travel. So if you look into this, looking towards the NDP, roughly we'll be looking about almost 1 trillion rands to ensure that we are also complying with the NDP, especially when it's come to the tar road issue, whereby the economic would be very much easy to develop as time goes by. The fixed investment, if you look at the general government infrastructure, public corporations and private sector, it's safe to say that the private business are always on the top in terms of the infrastructure delivery, followed by the public corporation, which is our SOEs. Then government will come at last, mainly because of we all aware that government, as much as we are doing much in terms of the infrastructure, but the private sector, they are leading in this space, followed by the government entities. There is a slide here which talk about the fixed investment per sector, whereby you can easily say that the construction industry, as much as is decreasing in terms of its growth or fixed capital asset, but safe to say that the machinery and the other equipment, they are moving with speed, they are increasing on yearly basis. We've seen some improvement, especially in 23-24, which is this financial year across the board. But this slide just compare the residential building, transport equipment, non-residential building, machinery and other equipment, as well as construction. The infrastructure spending of the province in terms of the MTSF, but medium-term expenditure outlook, the Department of Transport, it's leading in terms of the budget that is being allocated in the infrastructure, followed by the Department of Health as well as Education. Then the rest of the department would follow. We are on slide number 13, Secretariat. Moving to slide number 14. Progress on the infrastructure and catalytic projects. I'm not going to dwell much on this one because it's just a structure in terms of how do we register our catalytic project in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. This is just the process. But in terms of the overview, catalytic project overview, as a province of KwaZulu-Natal, we are having 198 projects that are currently registered on our system. The total number of existing projects, 153. The new from the provincial reports, which is the IRM inter report model from Treasurer, there are 45. Currently active projects, 171. Total number of projects that have been cancelled, which is the airport rapid railway transit, that's 1. Total completed, there were 26. PGDP alignment framework, the security-related infrastructure that support the aspiration, a secure, dignified, and homogeneous population, that 34, amounting to 3.3 trillion. Social infrastructure, there are 5, amounting to 3.9 billion. Economic infrastructure, we've got 1, which support the aspiration of a skilled population. Infrastructure support, the aspiration of gateway, that's talked to the economic development and economic growth of the province, the 113, amounting to 1.3 trillion. Catalytic projects, in terms of the short term, medium term, long term, the above is an indicative potential target to grow the catalytic project program, illustrates that the program needs to expand in a deliberate and measured way through intervention to scale up the whole supply chain. A program of this nature requires significant support and takes a long time to mature, as there are several complex interventions that culminate in and output, and this is due to a scale of the project. The current environment supply chain also has a scale up to support implementation of such program, e.g. Sanral spent 3 years researching and sourcing adequate supply of stone for N2 and N3 upgrades in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. As the projects are large and complex, the implementation is cumbersome and needs to be deliberate and aligned, and also agility and frivolous reactionary changes actually have a detrimental effect. The objective is to develop a sustainable pipeline to create incremental and consistent exponential growth. So in this case, we have categorized our catalytic project in a short term, medium term, as well as the long term moving forward. This slide, we're on slide number 19. Secretariat, this is just an indication of where are these catalytic projects in the province of KwaZulu-Natal per municipalities. In this slide, it's just an indication that we see most of the catalytic project being implemented, especially in eThekwini Metro. We also understand as a result of being an economic hub for the province, also followed by the Ilembe, which is also coming on board the coastline. And again, Pietermaritzburg or Umgungundlovu is also coming on board all the way to King Cetshwayo, which is Richards Bay. We know that those are secondary cities. As a result, there are quite a number of catalytic projects which are being implemented around those areas. Then there and there you'll find that Tutugula is coming on board as well as Amajuba, but there are municipalities which required a special intervention when it's come to catalytic project like Yomzinyati, your Herikwala, your Zululand, your Mkanyagute. Not much is happening in those municipalities. In terms of the breakdown of the catalytic project, we have 90 that are currently run by the provincial government, and the SOEs, there are 47, private sector, there are 64. Also, their location is clear outlined in terms of the map that has been put in this slide. You can tell that eThekwini is benefiting more than any other municipality in the province. I'm not going to dwell much on this, but it's just an indication to say 40% of the infrastructure in KwaZulu-Natal it's carried out in eThekwini, followed by King Cetshwayo, as well as Umgungundlovu. Then the rest are also followed with their respective percentage. There are also strategic infrastructure projects which are run in conjunction with the Presidential Infrastructure Committee at national that will talk to the Durban Free State, Gauteng Logistics Industrial Corridor. There are 14 projects. Integrated municipal infrastructure, it's 1. Green energy in support of South African economy, there are 2. 9. SIP9 electricity generation to support socio-economic development, there are 5. SIP11 agri-logistics also include Umkomazi. Sanitation, there are 3 amounting to 60 million. Energy, there are 11, 2.6 million. Education, health, human settlement, agriculture, social, ICT, tourism, mining, they are part of the project which are currently being undertaken in the province. Catalytic project profile, catalytic by provincial departments, there is quite a number of them. From agriculture, there are 8, COGTA, there are 3, economic development, 10, health, there are 3, human settlement, there are 10, water and sanitation, and Umhlatuze, it's 1, Department of Transport, it's 1, broadband and Inkulego development project, 2, Chwaga, there are 2 projects, KZN provincial treasurer, there are 4, eThekwini in terms of municipalities, there are also projects which are being indicated, which are attached or implemented by those municipalities. Looking also to the SOEs, Dube Trade Port, that talk to the Transnet in terms of the port development. of in Richards Bay as well as in Durban, which are amounting to plus 200 billion. The investment that will be put into those extension or rehabs to the port of Durban as well as the port of Richards Bay. Umgeni Water, there are 3. Completed projects from 2019 to date is quite a number of projects. The list is also attached with the budget that has been spent and also the jobs that has been created from 2019 up to date in terms of the infrastructure development, mainly focusing on capital projects that will have a huge impact in terms of the economic growth as well as job opportunities that have been created in the province, and also talk to the development of SMEs. There's quite a number of them by SOEs as well as government and the private sector that are also indicated. Therefore, in total, the amount that has been spent is 129 billion, 0.5, and the job that has been created, there are almost 390,000 job opportunities have been created through the infrastructure development. There are projects which are also requiring the intervention. The Cattle Ridge Logistic Hub, which is a private sector project, Stage 1 is current on planning. The funding agreement between SANRAL, KZN, DOT, eThekwini Transport Authority, and development needed for the new entry, KwaXimba interchange, and all connect roads. Here, the main challenge is the bulk infrastructure that is currently a challenge, but the municipality, COGTA, as well as Department of Transport, they're working on the matter. The brickworks, which is the public one, that is done by DOT with the municipality. Oceans, Umhlanga public transport infrastructure. City to approve the TMT. The TMP after bus holding site has been resolved. Safe to say this matter is being attended to by eThekwini. The matter has been resolved. We're likely to see the construction or the implementation taking place as early as possible, but they are currently working on the planning of the project as well as the design. Beachwood development, also eThekwini to allow the developer to build on site. It's a matter that is also being underway. Discussion between the private developer as well as the municipality. Durban Film Studio is also on planning. Land transfer to developer anticipated to be completed before the end of this year. And again, discussions are underway between the municipality, within the municipality, eThekwini municipality. The private sector investment in bulk infrastructure. The private sector is committed to invest into bulk infrastructure where development are affected. Currently, quite a number of our catalytic projects are being affected by the bulk services, which is the bulk infrastructure. It might be water, it might be electricity, it might be also sewer, that are also delayed as a result of that. However, the incentive to fund these infrastructure demands, business has proposed a rate rebate, discount, holiday for a period of the investment into the infrastructure. The institutional framework needs to be designed to ensure compliance on how both municipality and business will benefit from the initiatives. I must indicate that this matter is currently being worked in by COGTA together with the provincial treasurer to see on how best to design this agreement to support municipalities in understanding what is required to form these processes. The risk and mitigation strategies, there are risks in terms of the infrastructure delivery. The one on top is the issue of the business forum, which are disrupting the infrastructure development across the province. I must indicate that this matter is being attended to. There is a team that has been developed or established in the province to work around this matter, which comprises of Department of Public Works, DOT, SAPS, ComSafe, to ensure that these matters are being kept into rest. Load shedding is one of the issues that's also delaying some of the projects, because when there's load shedding, some of the project they could not continue. They need to wait for those 2 hours or 4 to 6 hours for them to be to continue with the development. So these are matters that also the Office of the Premier, ETA and COCTA, they are working on it, and also looking at an alternative construction method moving forward to ensure that we work around the challenges that we have. Chairperson, it is recommended that the meeting notes the progress on the provincial infrastructure and catalytic projects. The details of the projects are attached as annexures. The only attachment that we did not put is only for EPWP, because we're only required to deal with the infrastructure development. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, HOD, by the input from the speaker or from the office of the Premier. Members, I will then now ask any seeking clarity questions and questions on the input that on the briefing that we have just received. And looking at the time, members, I think we can also take the other presentation so that when we break for lunch, we don't come back in this house. I'm just looking at the time, thinking aloud. I know the agenda has been adopted, but I just want to hear the views of the House in terms of that. I can see a hand, Cel. Honorable Cel.
Thanks, Chair. My hand was up on issues of questions. I wasn't on your second point.
Manage your child allergy symptoms. The suggestion that let's take the other presentation
Yes,
that we can.
I support that, Chair.
The one that will be coming after line. I'm not sure whether the people that are supposed to give us those presentations, are they in the house?
Yeah.
Or they prepared to come and join us? Are they in the house?
Yeah.
Are they in the house? Or they prepared to come and join us? Are they in the house? Are they in the house? Or they prepared to come and join us? Are they in the house? Are you here? Are they in the house? Or they have made our job to come and join us? Are they in the house? There was another hand. I'm sure it was a secondment. Are you here? Are they in the house? Or they? It was seconded. Members, then let's move. We will. You'll be free to ask question and clarity to any of the presentation that is going to be given. For now, let's allow the Department of Water and Sanitation to get their presentation. We are doing well in terms of time. Department of Water and Sanitation, are you ready? Let me see you. Where are you? Oh, you there? Okay. Do you have any technical problems or anything? Sorry? Yeah, talk to your presentation. Meanwhile, the technician will assist us to beam it up on the screen. But you can continue so that they will catch us on the way. I don't think we must wait for them, because we do have the documents in front of us as well. It assists us a lot. Let's do that, colleagues. I'm sorry, maybe you need to press this mic, otherwise maybe I'm the only one who's not hearing you.
No, it's not.
Oh yeah, there you are.
Thank you. Good morning, Honourable Chair, good morning, Honourable Members, all protocol observed. My name is Ashley Starkey, I'm from the Department of Water and Sanitation at the Provincial Office. We have shared the presentation, but we are busy loading that at the moment. I would just like to share, to introduce my colleagues. It's a joint presentation from Department of Water and Sanitation, the TCTA, which has been appointed by Minister as an implementing agent, and Umgeni Utugela Water Board, which will be implementing part of the project. So I've got colleagues from TCTA, Mr. Begin Bambo and Mr. Sanele Mazibuko, who is the COO of Umgeni Water, and Mr. Novalo and team Oye. So as soon as the presentation comes up, TCTA, will you start? Presentation. I see we got the wrong presentation up there. Okay. But will you start speaking? Okay.
Just 1 minute. 1 minute. There's a hand here.
Thanks, Chair. Can people be introduced properly, Chair? I'm hearing Mr. Starkey just going on as if we know these people that he's talking to. Members were introduced. Can they introduce their teams accordingly?
Yeah. Yeah, please do so. And also, I will appreciate if you've got a new amendment on your slides to give it to members so that they are with you throughout the presentation. I saw in the first presentation other issues, you would see that it has been amendment there and there, but you find that members don't have those new amendments on your slide. In case you do have some amendment on your slide, especially the members and also some officials, so that we are all together when you take us through your presentation. You can start afresh, no problem.
So, Honourable Member, sorry, my apologies for that.
No problem.
So from the Department of Water and Sanitation, my name is Ashley Starkey. I'm the provincial head. We're based here in KZN. I'm joined by two of the directors, Ms. Angela Macefield. Angela, just wave your hand. Ms. Angela Macefield is the Director, Water Services, Compliance, Regulation and Enforcement. And then on my left is Mr. Jay Reddy, who is with the Proto CMA. We look at local regulation of water. Then I'm going to ask Mr. Sanele to start. He's the CEO of Umgeni Water, but can you introduce your team, Mr. Sanele? Maziboko.
Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members, all protocol. Disabled. Okay. Apologies for that. I'll speak through this one. My name is Sanele Mazibuko. I am the COO of Umgeni Utugela Water. With me is a senior manager responsible for the project, Apam Komazi, which Ubambambo. It will be just the two of us from Umgeni Utugela Water. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We may now proceed.
Thanks very much, Chair. My name is Nelson Qindi. I'm a senior manager for strategy in the entity of government called TCTA. We have the executive manager for PFMT, Mr. Ntlan Kabinde, if you can raise your hand. And we have a senior manager for PFMT, Tabani Nomvalo, next to him. Chair, apologies for the CEO and the chairman of the board who will be joining us. They're still on the way. Thanks very much, Chair.
Do you expect me to also say thanks, comrade? Okay. Are you done that side?
Good morning, Chairperson and honorable members and colleagues. My name is Ntlanhla Gabinde. I'm from TCTA. Chair, I'm happy to get us started while waiting for the chairperson and the CEO of TCTA to join us. Chair, we're going to be presenting on Nkomazi Water Project, which is a critical intervention to address the water shortages in the region supplied by Umgeni Water. So this is a multi-billion rand project, which is going to impound water of the Nkomazi River and augment the Mgeni system. And through it supply 6 municipalities, including eThekwini, which will account for about 70% of the water use in the area. So it's a project of great socio-economic benefit. It's going to benefit more than 5 million people who are in the region. It's going to encourage economic development in the region, because we know that without water, enough water, there can be no development. And with it, we're looking at the creation of employment opportunities.
Just a moment, my leader. Yes. Honorable Chair.
Thanks, Chair. For the first time, we're hearing of an entity called TCTA. Can we be given, maybe, if they can introduce themselves and they tell us who they are before they delve into the presentation?
Members, can't we allow the department now for water and sanitation to present, to give us the briefing, and then next the transport, the TCTA will, when they would follow after that, then Umgeni would be the last one. But when TCTA give their presentation, members request that if they can give more of an insight about the TCA. Yeah, just before they get deeper into their program. I think that's the request, just to give them more insight about the TCTA when they present, but so that we can have a bit of a progress right now. I request members that Department of Water and Sanitation, because we're finished introduction, then to continue taking us through their presentation.
Honourable
I'm
Chair.
sorry for the disturbance. Maybe let's do that.
Honourable Chair, thank you very much. This is a joint presentation between the Department of Water and Sanitation,
yes,
Umgeni Tugela Water Board, and TCTA. We've asked the member from TCTA to present on behalf of all three of us, so it's one joint presentation. Okay.
Please lead us now to say who's presenting now. The next presentation, we will appreciate if you can lead us from that side, so that members will be aware who's doing what now. Can we work together like that on your side?
Chairperson, Mr. Gabinde. Mr. Gabinde from Trans-Caledon Tunnel Association. It's an agency of the Department of Water Affairs and Sanitation. They've been appointed through a ministerial directive to implement the project, the raw water component project. Umgeni Water has been appointed as the implementing agent for the portable water components, which will be shown in the presentation. So these are two of our national department entities, the Water Board and the Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority. Sorry, I said association, authority. Mr. Kabinde will present on all three of us. Mr. Kabinde? Good.
Thank you.
Chairperson, sorry, we have the CE of the agency as well as the chairperson of the board, and I think with your kind permission, sir, if I would allow Mr. Percy Sechemane to introduce himself as well as to introduce the chairperson of the TCTA. Mr. Sechemane, would you please introduce yourself and the chairperson, please, sir?
Good morning. We're starting with apologies for only coming in now, but we thought we slightly early. But my name is Percy Sechemane. I'm the Chief Executive of TCTA. With me is Precious Sibia, who's the Chair of TCTA as well. So I think, as has been said by by Ashley, we would be doing the presentation today if it's fine by the committee. So, this is what happens when you come late. This is what happens when you come late. Apologies. So I think then we can start with the presentation if it's fine by the House.
Speaker.
Chair, with all due respect, I'm going to request the Department of Water and Sanitation to treat the members of the Ncop, the permanent delegates of KwaZulu-Natal, and the members of this House the same way that you treat the members when you appear before them. It can be no joke that we have to know the time of the meeting. Some of your participants arrive at the time they arrive, and there is that discord you see there, and there is nothing that you think is out of order. We appeal to you that we be treated the same way. This is the provincial legislature of KwaZulu-Natal, and it is a house with all its dignity and decorum. May it be maintained here. It is not correct for you to know the time of the meeting. Honorable Mteto, the two gentlemen that were here early, even themselves, they arrived late. When I was stepping outside, I met them outside still asking directions to this same meeting. They are here now, even those that are arriving. It seems as if the department did not know the time of the starting of the meeting. So that as we are about to start, we request that we proceed in a correct and a proper way. Because what was asked by Honorable Cele was just something that was going to bring us all into attention and see that there's something wrong. Because at the introduction time, they were not here and we did not know who are they and what role they have here. And that should have at least brought them to some semblance of decorum. We are pleading for the people of KwaZulu-Natal that this house be respected by all. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. And we know that this is the department, this is the entity that holds a lot of funds on behalf of the department and is running very crucial job. I'm not going to repeat what the Speaker, she has already alluded to. I would ask again, members, in the interest of time, we were doing very well. Just zoom straight to that presentation, and we try to make progress. Yes, Honorable Cele.
Thanks, Chair. Can I request, Chair, that the presentation be done by the department? not an entity of the department. Department of Water and Sanitation must lead us with this presentation. Either them or Umgeni, not the entity. Thanks, Chair. Members of this legislature, Chair.
Yeah, maybe members, let's do this. I think the department has planned that the department, each entity will talk to its function. If they can do that, it will make our job be much easier, members, because we can ask them direct as well. Remember, this entity is one of the entities that holds a lot of funds, as I've said, and the main stakeholder that is most of, I think this is the entity that goes out and requests money on behalf of the department, fundraising. I just read a bit about them. So I think it would be wise, members, if we allow them just to give us a presentation, and he will continue to chair from there, and who's next on the list until we finish this presentation. Then we will come at the end and then ask questions to the department, which it covers the overall. May I ask members that we do that? It will make it quite easy if we do that. I'm handing it over to you, entity. Now, T8, TC? Yeah, around there. Yes, that is, please do that. You are only got 15 minutes to present this presentation, because I want members to ask more questions, to have more space for questions, and then the presentation must go a little bit faster. Over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. And probably one needs to start with the apology and probably try to explain that it was not due to us not taking the House serious. We are, as part of explaining who TCTA is, we are a national structure. So for this week, yesterday we were in a city like this for the Gauteng one. This week we'll also be going to Cape Town because we have multiple projects that we're doing, but we're trying to make sure that the chairperson and at least the chief executive, they are able to go to all of them. That is the reason why we are late, because we have to be in all provinces this particular week, especially where we have projects that we are doing that have the kind of impact similar to this one that we're doing in KZN. So it was not because we don't have respect for the House. We do have respect for the House. So having said that, TCTA stands for Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority. Our mandate we get from the Minister of Water and Sanitation. And as you have correctly stated, what we do is we get given a mandate by the Minister based on the planning of the department in terms of looking at where there would be water resources that are required. Municipalities talk about water distribution. The water boards just talks about, or their function is to purify the water, then they sell it to the municipalities. But our responsibility comes in terms of making sure that there is enough water resources to actually get that process going. So from our part, we work with the department, especially the planning side, in terms of them identifying the source, and we need to go into the market to try and make sure that we can raise the funding that is required. And we also now put the infrastructure down through the project managing the whole thing. Once that has been done, we then hand it over to the department. Now, between the department and the water board, this is where now the local municipalities would now have a contract with them. But in the main, when we have a project at this stage, we are the ones that go into the market to borrow the money. And that's how the process works. So this sort of defines who TCTA is and what we do. So it's from that end. And unfortunately for this week, then, we have to be in almost all the provinces in terms of what we have to do. But like I've said, we humbly apologize for coming late. Now, having said that, probably one needs to go into the presentation as quickly as possible. I'm not sure who's running. Okay, I will rely on somebody else who's running the presentation. I'm not sure who it is. Can we go back?
No, don't worry. Just read it from yours. He will follow you.
Oh, no, thank you, Chair. The purpose is really to provide the background to the Mkomazi Water Project, highlighting progress and its critical role in enhancing water security in the province. Why is this project necessary? The project will transfer water from the Mkomazi River to augment the Mgeni water supply system, which supplies domestic water to more than 5 million people and industries in South Africa's third largest regional economy. That means the Durban and Pietermaritzburg regions. The Mgeni system that already exists now is already experiencing a deficit and therefore needs to be augmented for increased water security in the Mgeni system until at least 2040. There would be a graph that I show that shows how dire the situation is at this particular point in time in terms of the deficit that is already is experienced in this particular province. The project, once done, will increase the Mgeni system yield from 394 to 608 megaliters of water per annum. The KZN Coastal Metropolitan Reconciliation Strategy by the Department of Water and Sanitation confirmed that the phase one of this project is the next viable long-term scheme to augment the Mgeni system as soon as possible. Due to the Mgeni Water Project's strategic nature and the urgent need for additional water in the Mgeni system, the Department of Water and Sanitation needs to fast-track its implementation. And this is the slide that I was talking about that really shows the studies that were done in 2016. And the red part really, it's the deficit that we're talking about. There was a project that was done before in terms of the building of this Spring Grove Dam. And even that dam was done through TCTA as well. It's up and running at this particular point in time. But based on the studies done by the Department of Water and Sanitation, it shows that unless we do something at this particular point in time, this is the deficit that we are already experiencing, and this is since 2016. So it really shows the urgency of this project to be done as soon as possible. Efforts to manage demand increases and water losses includes the following action as proposed by Umgeni Utugela Water. It's very important that even if we do this massive infrastructure, we also need to look at the saving of water at this particular point in time and making sure that we deal with things like water losses. I think through the department, there is a requirement that Mgeni Utugela Water reduce supply to their current water use license within the Mgeni system, just to keep it intact at this particular point in time. Supply will be curtailed at these particular numbers in terms of million liters per day for eThekwini Metro, for Msunduzi local municipality, and for Mgungundlovu district municipality. Current supply to eThekwini is around 1,100 megaliters per day, whereas the supply to Msunduzi and Mgungundlovu is currently at 216 megaliters per day and 68.2 megaliters per day, respectively. And I know that we're talking about that more from the technocrat point of view, but in the main, people that need to get water, there is more demand than what the system can handle. And I think that's the point that we're trying to make here. Any future growth in the supply within municipalities will only be accommodated by an equivalent saving in the water loss. Umgeni Utugela Water is investigating the construction of flow control as strategic offtakes to ensure that the supply to the municipalities is managed to the volumes provided above. The socio-economic impact, around 86.661 million total additional production, new business sales anticipated to be generated by the project. GDP is anticipated to increase by around 30.305 million. 4,280 direct employment opportunities related to the construction and site operation. 110 annual employment opportunities would be created in a permanent manner for the operation of the scheme. In total, 123,846 employment opportunities are generated through direct, indirect, and induced activities over the same period. So not only is this project going to bring water, but there are other ancillary or related opportunities that would arise to the province once it gets done. Failure to implement the project will discourage investment and threaten jobs and regional economy and risk social unrest. So it's very important that this project gets to be done. Incremental planning for the Umgeni Water Project Phase 1. We've looked at around 8 alternative schemes that were identified by the pre-feasibility investigation in 1998. After assessment, the configuration for Impendle and Smithfield were found to be most suitable for further investigation. The study finally recommended the proposed Smithfield scheme that should be investigated further. A 2003 study found the Moimgeni Transfer Scheme project should be implemented before the Umkomazi Water Project Phase 1. And the studies were initiated in 2009, and these were concluded in 2014, especially the technical and engineering study that was found to be feasible. And TCTA was then appointed by the minister as the implementing agent for the raw water component, and appointment of Umgeni Utugela Water as the implementing agent for the potable side, as I explained in the beginning. And the raw water component could be funded off budget and in total using private sector funding. And this is what we do, given that this is the mandate that the minister gives us. As TCTA, then we go into the market to try and raise the funding. And we are the ones that are responsible for making sure that we can service the debt and then also pay the final loan. And usually it takes a long time, at least 20 years, so that everybody that is exposed to that cost, we need to try and smooth it out so that the total cost of water is not really hampering those that need to have it. We understand that water is a constitutional right of everybody in South Africa, and we try to make sure then that whatever we do, we put that into perspective as well. In order to reduce the cost burden and help subsidize the supply of water to indigent households, the raw water component could be partly funded on budget by National Treasury and reduce the impact of the Umgeni Water or Umgeni Utugela Water tariff as well. So we've been working also with National Treasury to try and reduce the cost burden. There is a strong motivation based on household income and the cost of the project that 25% of the water supplied by this particular project be declared social water. That is, we need to also get that from National Treasury to try and ease the impact of the total cost of this project. Accordingly, the raw water component could be funded partially on budget, looking at 25% by National Treasury, with the balance of 75% being funded through private sector debt funding. Development of the financial models for the raw water and potable water components by TCTA and Umgeni Utugela Water respectively. Finalization of offtake agreements with water service authorities that constitute 85% of the current water use by September 2017. That was the original plan that we had in terms of doing the project. And the components consulted, we actually went through all the people and the stakeholders that would be impacted by this particular project, looking at project planning so that nobody's kept behind from a point of view of the needs. And this is just a list of the institutions and everybody that we consulted through that process. And this also on the side of the municipalities, the DMs, everybody that was consulted in terms of getting the numbers to actually understand what the requirements are of each of the sectors in terms of the stakeholders. I'm on slide 14. I think the process followed from finalization of feasibility study. The department submitted a request for the minister to approve the project, and minister approved the project and declared it a government waterworks. Directives were issued to TCTA and Umgeni Utugela Water in line with the recommendation from the feasibility study. A record of implementation decision was issued to infrastructure branch to fast track the project within the department. The project is to be gazetted once all environmental authorizations are obtained, which is something that our team and that of Umgeni is working on at this stage. The raw water component, this is the part now in terms of what TCTA is doing in terms of this particular project. It's the building of an 81-meter high dam at Smithfield on the Mkomazi River with a gross storage capacity of 251 megaliters capacity in terms of the cubic meters. A 33-kilometer long and 3.5 diameter raw water tunnel from the dam at Smithfield to the Umlaza River Valley. A 5.1 kilometer long and 2.6 diameter gravity bulk raw water pipeline that will connect to the raw water tunnel to the Baines Field water treatment works that belongs to the water board, so that every part that comes from this side in terms of the raw water component can actually link with the water board's infrastructure so that the water can actually be purified. And these are just the costs that TCTA will incur following the capital cost to implement the raw water component of the project. And these are cost estimates as at April 2019. The potable component of the project, this is now the part that would be done by Mgeni Utukela Water. Like I said, the Baines Field water treatment works in the Umlaza River Valley with the initial capacity of 500 megaliters per day, and they are going to upgrade that to 625 megaliters per day. A 21.3 kilometer long and 2.7 diameter gravity potable water pipeline from the Baines Field to Umlas Road. The phase 1 potable pipeline will tie into the Western Bypass at Umlas Road. A potential 2.6 megawatt hydropower plant at Smithfield. The system will be a gravity system and can potentially be energy neutral. And the state of readiness for project implementation. Construction-related activity to commence once the construction and operations of the environmental management programs have been approved by Department of Forestry and Environment. The environmental impact assessment report was submitted in November 2016, but they were not accepted by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment in February 2017, because there were a lot of issues that were raised. To address issues raised by DFFE, additional studies were undertaken and 2 addenda to the EIAR were submitted in August 2018 and September 2020, respectively. The DFFE issued 2 environmental authorizations in November 2020, an EA for the water conveyance infrastructure and an EA for the Smithfield Dam and associated infrastructure. Due to the impractical conditions in the EAs above, amended applications were submitted in July 2021. The amendments were mostly accepted by DFFE in September 2021. However, the initial EMPR submitted as part of the EIA was revised and resubmitted, but was not approved. Therefore, implementation of the project could not proceed. Following the engagement with the environmental department, the EMPR was revised and repackaged into separate EMPRs to allow for pre-construction activities only and resubmitted. And this was approved in March 2022. A pre-construction EMPR for water conveyance infrastructure, tunnel and pipeline, and the other for the Smithfield Dam and associated infrastructure. I think what we're trying to say here, Chair and House, it's the environmental legislation puts a lot of requirements for projects of this magnitude. And in most cases, you need to work with the local owners of the land to try and find out how do you still ensure that you do this kind of project, but you don't actually impact negatively the environmental space. And that's why there has been this toing and froing between us and the authorities that are responsible for the environmental side. But unfortunately, this also now delays the project in terms of provision of water in good time. But on the other side, it also attracts a lot of cost, because the longer we take before the project gets finalized, the more expensive it becomes. And on the Mgeni system benefits approximately 6 million people in the Mgeni Utugela water area of supply, which includes eThekwini, Msunduzi, Mgungundlovu, Herigwala, Ugu, and Ilembe municipalities. The Mgeni system comprises 4 large dams on the Mgeni and Moi rivers, a transfer scheme, and a potable water distribution infrastructure servicing users in the Mgeni Utugela area of supply. The system is already in deficit, as I've said. Abstraction before 2016 drought was running at 450 megaliters of water per day per annum, and versus the system yield of 394 megaliters of water per annum, one can actually see that the deficit is already there in terms of we are over abstracting at this particular point in time. And the phase 2 of the Moim-Geni transfer scheme, the last augmentation scheme was the Moim-Geni transfer scheme phase 2, which was funded and implemented by TCTA at a cost of about 2 billion rands. It is funded off budget through tariffs in the Umgeni-Utugela area of supply. MMTS2 includes Spring Grove Dam on the Moy River and a transfer scheme to the Umgeni River. The project debt was originally scheduled to be repaid in 2033. The need for Umkomazi has accelerated debt repayment to 2022 because what we're trying to do was to actually ensure that we can pay for the this particular one that's on the that we've done, which is the MMTS2, before we start with this new one of Umkomazi, so that the end users do not have to pay for both projects. And we had successfully accelerated the debt repayment of the phase 2 of the Moim-Geni transfer scheme, just to actually ensure that there is a smooth transition. And these are just the institutional arrangements in terms of where the department sits, where TCTA sits, where the funders sit as well, and Umgeni, Utugela Water, and the water service authorities. So this is just a diagram of how the institutions are done. And on top there is the Minister of Water and Sanitation. And we also have the Minister of Finance, because for anything that we do as TCTA, National Treasury gets to be involved because the size of the amount of money that we require, they actually monitor the process quite closely to actually ensure that the costs are relevant, and as well they understand why are we borrowing the money, because it is them that needs to give a go ahead in terms of our borrowing limits. And if there is a trouble, I think for this particular project, there is implied guarantees, because the funders want to make sure that they will get their money back should the need arise for that. TCTA was issued with a directive to fast-track, fund and implement the Umkomazi Water Project Phase 1 raw water component, develop the financial model for the funding of the project's raw water component, facilitate the drafting and negotiation of the water supply agreements between Umgeni Utugela Water and the relevant water service authorities. And the fund and implement the Umkomazi Water Project Phase 1 potable water component, develop the financial model for the funding of the project, the Phase 1's potable water component, draft, negotiate, and finalize bulk water supply agreement between the water board and its customers, the municipalities. In terms of the directive, the department is required to provide interim funding to TCTA to proceed with the preparatory and implementation tasks until National Treasury has approved the borrowing limit to enable the funding of the raising of commercial funding. If funding for the social portion can be obtained from the fiscus, DWS shall secure and provide such funding once the requirements have been approved by National Treasury. The Department of Water and Sanitation has to date provided around 60 million rand for project preparation funding for this particular project. And this is just the governance structure of the project. You have the Minister of Water and Sanitation, you have implementation of funding directive of TCTA, the TCTA board, the technical committee, EXCO, and then the particular department that deals with this. And you also have a project committee. This is just within the governance structure of TCTA, but parallel to that is the most important one, where you have the political steering committee chaired by the ministers, the premier, mayors. You have the TCTA and Umgeni Utugela water boards, the CEOs, and this is actually chaired by the Minister of Department of Water and Sanitation. Then you have a steering committee as well, where you'd have the DGs, you'll have the municipal managers or city managers, you'll have TCTA's executives as well. And this is chaired by the Director General of the Department of Water and Sanitation. Then you have Project Coordinating Committee, the PCC, where you have the special interest groups, the local authorities, and this is chaired by Umgeni and Utugela Water, looking at the project management office. And then you have the project management office made up of TCTA and Umgeni Utugela Water. So a lot of decisions get done on this side, but one that I need to bring up is on the political steering committee, all the respectable and important people in terms of the political level are actually sitting at the political steering committee. The technical committee will also have representation from all the municipalities that are affected by this particular project, be it the decisions that needs to be made technically or even the strategies in terms of how are we going to implement the project. So throughout the project, everybody is aware of the decisions, what we need to do, what are we following in terms of the decisions that needs to be made. And there is an intergovernmental political steering committee. I think this just explains what I had said, where this one is chaired by the minister. And then you have the technical committee, as I explained as well, chaired by the DG of Water and Sanitation. And then you have the project coordinating committee and the internal governance within TCTA, because it's important for everybody to understand how TCTA works as well. TCTA, in terms of progress since the directive was issued, TCTA requested a borrowing limit in August 2019 to secure commercial loans for the project preparation, but this was not approved by National Treasury. National Treasury directed that Department of Water and Sanitation must fund the project preparation activities, and the borrowing limit will only be considered after municipalities have signed offtake agreements with Umgeni Utugela Water Board. A project coordinating committee headed by the CEOs of TCTA, Umgeni and Utugela Water, and the Department of Water and Sanitation Regional Head was established to direct and oversee the drafting and negotiation of offtake agreements and to coordinate the project activities of TCTA and Umgeni Utugela Water. This was presented to the relevant municipalities following the delays caused due to COVID at the time. Negotiations took place from August to October 2020, with 80% of the terms negotiated and settled. Negotiations deadlocked at that stage due to concerns from water users over the affordability of the proposed water user tariffs. Alternative tariff scenarios were developed to address affordability and debt sustainability. This was presented to municipalities in December 2020. Optimization and refinement of funding scenarios continued through October 2021. Users objected to the estimated tariffs on affordability grounds. To move forward, TCTA requested motivations to substantiate non-affordability so that the funding model could be drafted and presented to National Treasury. Due to the lengthy delay in concluding the offtake agreement, the PSC was requested to intervene. This is the political steering committee, to resolve the issues. And this was done in 2021, where it was resolved that water users should, without delay, provide information to TCTA to substantiate their tariff affordability concerns and to motivate for a fiscal contribution. And the PSC further resolved that upon receipt of all the relevant information from water users, TCTA should finalize the funding model and engage with National Treasury on the request for a fiscal contribution. Following the intervention and guidance from the political steering committee, TCTA prepared and submitted a draft funding model to its board in March 2022 and engaged with the department and National Treasury on the document. TCTA engaged the Infrastructure Fund for cooperation and support on submitting a BFI bid in the June 2022 bidding window. Requested the BFI for a fiscal grant to cover 25% of the project cost and a 25% interest-free loan from the Infrastructure Fund. What one needs to say, in January of this year, National Treasury confirmed its approval for the application for a total of 12 billion in funding for the project through the BFI, which is a structure that sits within National Treasury. This resolved the biggest issue in terms of tariff affordability, that was delaying the finalization and conclusion of the offtake agreement. Current status and way forward. The project is behind schedule by about 3 years, mainly as a result of the delay in concluding offtake agreements with user municipalities. The agreements were negotiated in 2020 and most terms agreed but could not be taken further due to the affordability concerns raised by the municipalities. The municipalities insisted on a 50% grant from the fiscus before finalizing the agreements on the 23 billion project. This issue has been resolved following the approval of a 12 billion fiscal contribution by National Treasury. The users also objected to some of the institutional arrangements as stated in the directive, insisting on bypassing Uthugela Water and Department of Water and Sanitation for tariff payments. Public participation processes in terms of the MFMA were delayed as a result. Following the intervention of the Political Steering Committee, 5 of the municipalities have concluded their Section 33 participation processes and submitted the comments received from the public and various government departments to TCTA. eThekwini municipality's participation process commenced in March 2023 but was not concluded as eThekwini believed that the process was not fully compliant with the MFMA. Following a number of engagements between the department, National Treasury, TCTA, Uthugela Water, and eThekwini has agreed to restart its Section 33 process and to conclude this by December 2023 with the approval of their final water user agreement by the Council. If this happens, this will pave the way for TCTA to apply for a project borrowing limit and to raise the funding for project implementation. And the TCTA will explore ways to fast-track the project in order to mitigate the impact of the delays once further detailed studies and project designs have actually been done. And these are just the indicative project milestones because every time there is a delay, we have to work on what does it mean in terms of the completion dates and the revisions and the comments, because all of us need to make sure then that the decision makers are able to get this to see exactly when will we finalize the project and when would people now start enjoying water as it comes through this particular project. Okay, I have taken more than 15 minutes, but such is the complexities of this project. We've come to the conclusion of the presentation. I think at this stage, we'll hear from the House. Thank you.
Yeah, you might proceed because that's the one that is interested for us to see after this, that presentation. If you want to finish, you can still continue if you felt that there are critical areas that you have left out.
No, Chair. As far as the presentation is concerned, we've done the full presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let me go back to the department. Who's next?
Chairperson, we covered. It was a joint presentation by the Department of Water and Sanitation, KwaZulu-Natal Association, as well as Umgeni Water. So we are covered, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for the detailed presentation that we have received. We will be also going to decide later on, is it today or tomorrow? Tomorrow. Or especially the one Ogwini there. So we will then put our presentation, we look at what you have presented and compare to some of the projects that we would see on the site. But normally we like to start on the site, then come back to the presentation. But nevertheless, we will do that. Members, I think it's time now to ask questions and seeking clarity questions and yeah. I see a hand there, Honorable Mshengu. Who else wants to ask question? Yeah, for now.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Zobabuzela Bonke.
Thanks once more, Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Chief Whip, and all members. And a very good morning to all the officials from different departments and entities. We have had reports that there are challenges with the construction site of Umkomazi water bulk, whatever dam that you call it, to an extent that there have been some people losing their lives. I am aware of one fellow who was shot in Westville at the engine garage, an employee of Umgeni Water. Can perhaps the COO confirm that the loss of that young life was in relation to this project, and what were the circumstances? If you are in a position of explaining to us as members so that we get to understand exactly the extent of the problem. I had just passed that garage when this incident happened. I was from this house on that fateful day. But the second one, Chair, is the issue of the delay of the project. There is this Section 33 process that eThekwini has been somehow unwilling or reluctant or somehow not happy to get involved into until such time perhaps there are certain guarantees, as the CEO has said, with the 33 million rand guarantee, the 10 billion rand from Treasury. Now they are happy to undertake a particular process at the level of council. But what would be the implications of this delay in terms of your anticipated operational date of this project being 2027? Does this push the project further down the line for 3 years up until 2030 or what? And what would be the implications? Because there is a serious shortage of water, especially in the south, in areas of the south ngapha ngako Dolomane Mnyaisa region. I come from the NC, so I use those names, Okwini in particular. And if this project continues to stall, there would be serious social unrest, because now and again even N2 get disrupted because people complain about water. So what would be the implications of this delay in the long run? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.